The rain caused a flood which carried all the elephants away. Hearing this, he knew about the other animals and did not inquire further. It is also like the analogies of sweets fried in oil and the walking stick. A man left a walking stick in a bag at a friend's house. When he went there later and asked about his health, his friend replied, "How could I be well? The rats have been causing so much damage, they even ate the walking stick you left here." The man went away without asking about the bag. Seeing some old men eating the flowers of the spider-wisp plant, another person said, "It is proper to rid oneself of animosity toward bodhisattvas and develop strong appreciation for them, since they do what is most difficult."
A bodhisattva who has attained forbearance as well as the 5 kinds of superknowledge, which will not decline throughout all future lives, may, in order to help sentient beings in the form of an inferior transmigrator in a bad rebirth, completely assume a body whose nature is like that of inferior beings such as worms, butterflies, buffalo, and dogs with their appearance and voice. The feat of thus maturing sentient beings is extremely hard to perform. It is like the Bodhisattva who saw that many dogs would be harmed in the future and took rebirth as a dog to prevent it. As soon as he was born, he looked for a lonely place to live and always stayed at the edge of the wilderness with the other dogs. One day the dogs ate the leather cover of the king's favorite chariot. The king was furious and ordered all the dogs to be rounded up and killed. Without being seen by anyone, the Bodhisattva crept under the king's lion throne, which was set in the center of his court, but the king caught sight of him and declared, "The one that ate the leather cover of the king's horse chariot is here. Now that you're here, we will not let you go."
To this the Bodhisattva replied, "If I fail to dissuade you, of course I should be punished." "How can you do anything but fail, when you ate the leather cover?" said the king. The Bodhisattva replied, "It's the palace attendant's fault. Animals don't know what they should or shouldn't eat. For a start, even if I did eat it myself, the guards are still in the wrong and not I. In that case, how can all the dogs living in this district, this town, and this country be guilty? If one ate it, all of them didn't do it. The king's order that they should all be punished is therefore unjust. Do humans receive the same treatment? I think not. And if they don't, it is ridiculously unfair." The king was moved and delighted by these amazingly human words. He prevented the dogs from being harmed and became involved in religious practices. When a king was abroad, he stayed with a serving woman who bore him a child. The other children said to him, "Serving woman's brat, be off. You don't even know whose son you are." He went to his mother, and when he asked who had fathered him, she said it was the king. He told her, "Offer me to the king and tell him to accept his son." She replied that the king would not accept him and that she would be beaten. He began to cry and his longing pained her heart.
She went to see the king, who was surrounded by his courtiers, and pointed to her son, but the king looked the other way. Urged on by the child, she walked over to the other side, but when she showed him the boy, the king just did the same again. The boy told his mother, "Why are you gesturing? Speak to him." Because of her son's misery, she spoke to the king in a loud voice, "Your Highness, recognize your son. Till now I have brought him up." The king was embarrassed and ordered his men to beat the serving woman who, he said, was a liar. As they approached her with whips in their hands, the Bodhisattva, like the king of geese spreading his wings, flew up from his mother's lap and hovering in the sky asked the king, "Are you not pleased that I am the king's son?" The king, with tearful eyes and gooseflesh, rose from his golden throne and stretching out his arms said in a barely audible voice, "Please come down, holy being. If you take care of Indra, king of the gods, my son, surely you must take care of such as me." Having said this, he made offerings to him and his mother as was befitting.
One should develop faith in bodhisattvas by considering their boundless qualities. Through their ability effortlessly to accomplish difficult feats for sentient beings, the merit created constantly by their 3 doors and accumulated over an extremely long period of countless eons is as limitless as space. It is said to be immeasurable even for the omniscient. The Tathagata said, "The analogy can be understood completely from the above." The life stories of the Buddha and so forth say that talk of ethical conduct does not interest bodhisattvas to the same extent as talk of giving. When the Sanskrit word for giving, dana, is explained in terms of etymologies that repeat the syllable of the root. It indicates dying, which is consistent with aversion. It sometimes indicates practices included within the 6 perfections by way of the divisions of giving, and sometimes the attainment of desired rebirths by guarding the purity of the 3 doors. Thus, since the word giving denotes death, practices, and other existences, it is always of interest to bodhisattvas who therefore take special delight in giving. It is like a man who was condemned to death hearing he is to be spared. No other words are as sweet.
Question: Is only a bodhisattva's generosity and not that of others boundless? Answer: To receive and give away things thinking that giving gifts in this life will result in great prosperity is like trade for profit and will therefore be criticized by the excellent. It is like the profit from selling all one's goods. When a merchant sells all his goods he makes a profit but not merit. Similarly, one who gives, desiring the results of giving, will gain prosperity but not liberation, because of still being bound in the prison of cyclic existence. Though bodhisattvas who create limitless merit may even have performed a few ill deeds previously, these will not be able to produce an effect. It is said,
"There is nothing that bodhisattvas, whose virtuous activity is powerful, consider should not be done for others' benefit. They therefore fulfill all the needs of sentient beings." The analogy is as in the cited stanza. Question: Since exalted bodhisattvas are entirely virtuous and do not take birth in cyclic existence through the force of contaminated actions and disturbing attitudes, why do they not remain absorbed in the sphere of peace? Answer: Bodhisattvas whose minds hold a powerful special wish, and who do not create even the slightest ill deed though remaining in cyclic existence, are not tainted by its faults. Since even in cyclic existence nothing harms them, there is no difference, in terms of harm, whether they remain in worldly existence or enter nirvana. Thus they do not prefer one kind of peace to another. It is like the following analogy: a mother does not feel discouraged caring for her only child who is ill. Similarly, bodhisattvas are never discouraged in their efforts to free sentient beings from all the sicknesses of the disturbing emotions.
Question: Why do they have mastery of most bodhisattva activities from the time they generate the first ultimate altruistic intention? Answer: Bodhisattvas who have attained the grounds can, through their constant mental control, take rebirth in worldly existence as they wish. Why then would they not become rulers of the entire world with dominion over the welfare of sentient beings? By taking birth as lords of the 4 continents and so forth, they accomplish the well-being of others. They are like a wish-granting jewel, a wish-fulfilling tree, and a fine pot of treasure. Question: What is the result of doing bodhisattva deeds? Answer: The inconceivable features of a peerless supramundane Buddha's power.